Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to the Bamis podcast. After week one, it's me, Dinuglesaur, aka Dino, and Clarkles. We're really excited to talk about everything from week one and then get into week two a little bit. So without further ado, let's take a look at the week one rundown. From top to bottom, you'll notice Valor and Greeley we haven't played yet. I assure you, though, we are working on a reschedule. And so we're looking forward to that matchup and making it up.
They say better late than never.
Indeed. The next match we've got is CT versus Collision Time versus Project Boom. And Project Boom, I think, with what many people classify as an upset, a 26-point team dominating over Collision Time, to 0, a 30-point team. And really, really fantastic performances across the board from Project Boom. We'll highlight a few of those later. And then, Clarkles, you want to take us through the rest of the rundown for week one?
Yeah. The next series was Goon Squad Gaming versus Team Cyborg. I know we'll have some other players featured in our all chat segment later on, so I'm not going to touch too much on that series right now, but it was 2-1. Super good games. Next was Slippery Seals versus Jimmy Disciples, or my team. Game one was pretty one-sided, won pretty easily, and then Seal just came back and just beat the crap out of us. I mean, they're a really good team, super solid. So good to see a first season team like that come out and kind of give us a little reality check. Like last season, we only lost one game, and we just doubled our losses already in week one of this season. So that's great. Then the last team was Redemption versus, oh goodness, here we go. NTBTSTLOLT. I'm going to call her NVNA, the acronym team, 2-0 for the acronym team, NVNA. I think I don't want to say it's expected. I was expecting them to go 2-1, but unfortunately, a 26-point team. So I can't wait to see how they do in the next week. And see how they keep going. But anyway, 2-0 this week against Redemption.
Yep. And we look at the overall standings, not too much to note. Yeah, we only have 1 week down, but as the weeks tick by, we'll get a clearer picture of the playoffs and where teams are going to start settling. So, Clarkles, do you want to talk about some notable performances of the week?
Yeah, we will start. We'll do the Risers of the Week. We have, which Risers of the Week is like for the lower point value players, so like 4 or below. So I think the series of the week, honestly, Project Boom versus CT, we had Lymphoma Lancer, played super well in their games. Again, big 2-0 win versus CT, who I thought was one of the top teams. They still might be, a rough week one, whatever, but definitely I think like upset of the week, maybe upset of the season. A 2-0 against him is crazy. Next is Purple Cow. NVNA mid laner, played super, super well in their series as well. He's a 4-point value. Lymphoma is 3-point value, by the way. I forgot to mention that. And then lastly, the Sops, who was in our series. We put like their scores there. You see game 1, 0-7, and then the last 2 games, they just turned up and just played super great. So as a 4-point player and playing way above their value, super great series from the Sauce.
Yeah, and I'll hop over to the other side. We'll talk about just some of the best performances of the week. First, a couple of honorable mentions. First, I'm going to toss it to Legacy. Seal's top laner and put on a fantastic performance versus Vortex, who I also see as one of the best top laners in the league. Snoopy, who we'll hear from a little bit later, put on 2 extremely good performances in their wins for CEC. But we've already talked about this matchup a few times, but I'd say our most notable performance of the week came from Sunless, our 9-point jungler from Project Boom, who put on a show versus Collision Time. In their 2-0 victory, we see a 7-1-11 Jarvan game, and then a 15-3-7 Kayn game. And we were talking about this off camera a minute ago. Kayn is just so hard to play against, and it looks like Sunless executed on that perfectly. And so
definitely living up to that 9-point value, being the highest ranked player in the league for a reason.
Absolutely. Any other things you want to hit on with the notable performances?
Legacy, again, he was in our series, played super well against Vortex, who we both agreed was the top the best top lane in the league. Really took it to him. And so kudos to him. He's played really well. And then Snoop, of course, played well and carried his game. So all around good games week 1. Super exciting.
All right. We'll hop on over to Aphelios Lover Pick Watch. Wee woo, wee woo.
So I I will say I was in the primer preseason. I was, a little worried about Aphelios Lover. Looked at his match history. Top laner plays ADCs. We're gonna keep a little track on his picks this season. So week 1, toxic level, medium low. Played 2 tanks and Gnar. Everyone that plays top lane hates Gnar, but he played some tanks. Orange, kind of an assassin mage, all the above. But we'll respect. I don't see Aphelios in there, so we'll live with it.
Indeed. So we'll keep an eye on this every single week. Aphelios Lover, we've got our eye on you.
We have our eye on you.
And
next,
now
power rankings.
Yeah, we just got the top 5, just to avoid yapping into the void too much. And so you'll see our top 5 each, and on the right side is their movement from last week. And for me, top 3 are the same. I had Slippery Seals at 1, Jimmy's Disciples at 2. Jimmy's Disciples lost to Slippery Seals, something that my power rankings would have expected, but I still think Jimmy's Disciples is looking extremely good. And I've got CE Cyborg still at 3, put on a good performance versus GSG. No reason to move them up or down. My biggest mover, Project Boom, up 4 slots. I still think CT is a good team, and so I'm going to give Project Boom a lot of credit for their victory over them and give them the nod up. And Team Greeley, I know he didn't play this week, but that's my team, so I'm a little bit biased. I'm going to keep us in 5th.
I have to agree with you on it real quick because mine's pretty similar. Slippery Seal, they bumped them up 2 spots. I think they're the best team. They beat us. And they beat us pretty bad. So I think they're a really scary team. Bunch of former pro Dota players, so it makes sense. They definitely played like it. And then us, number 2, and then Cyborg, I bumped them up a little bit. They had a really good series against GSG. And talking to the guys, they seem to really know what they're doing. And then Project Boom, of course, like we talked about, just the match of the week. They've earned a lot of respect, especially against CT, who I thought was a top team in the league. So 2 of them is crazy. And a little of the GSG, taking it to Cyborg, making them really work for it. So those guys deserve some love too on my list.
Alrighty, without further ado, let's hit our week 2 preview. Sorry for the scuffed visuals. Top of the list, Greeley, my team. We are going to be playing Project Boom next week. Looking at the schedule, I'll own it. I was like, oh man, Project Boom week 2, maybe we can pick up an easier win, but I do not expect that to be the case at all. I think we're going to really have to work for it. I do believe we've got Micro Brat in the jungle is one of the strongest junglers in the league, and so I think he'll really make Sunless work for it if Sunless wants to put on another performance like they did in week 1. And I'm excited to see Valor play red. Obviously, Valor and Greeley didn't play last week, and so we'll get our first look at how Valor is as a team versus red, who's going to look to bounce back.
Yeah, and obviously you have JD versus Collision Time on my team. So of course now we get to go up against a very angry Collision Time who's going to be out seeking, redemption. So looking forward to that. We're going to deal with them. Then we have Cyborg versus Seal, which I'm really looking forward to watching this game. Seeing 2 top teams go at it. Like, I want to see if Seal can kind of keep it up or if Cyborg can take it to him. And then the last game in our stream game next week, Goon Squad Gaming versus the Acronym Boys in VNA. Should be a pretty good series as well between those two middle of the pack teams.
Yeah, look out for the ping on the Discord when that live stream goes up. We've got some fantastic casters working here at Risen, and go show those teams some love. Or if you're playing, check out the VOD review afterwards. Some free scouting at the very least. Am I right?
Absolutely.
And we are super, super excited to introduce a brand new segment to the Bamis podcast, All Chat. And now we're going to hop into a brand new segment called All Chat.
And Dino, I know you've been doing a lot of work getting all this stuff set up. So what is this new segment, All Chat?
So All Chat, as you might expect, is taking in players from different teams and having some conversations with them. Specifically, we're going to grab players from opposing teams from the previous week to break down their matchup, some of the big moments, and get their thoughts on the league as a whole. And I'm just really excited to get to know some of the different players in the league.
Yeah, I think it'd be really interesting too to kind of hear some of the backgrounds of their teams. So we have a bunch of teams that are friend groups, or some that are random teams thrown together. So definitely be really interesting to kind of hear their stories and how their teams came together.
Alrighty, everybody. Welcome to a brand new segment of the Bamis podcast called All Chat. In this segment, we're going to be joined by two players who played against each other in the previous week's games, get some opinions on the games, some opinions on the league, and maybe some banter while we're at it. Today, we're going to be joined by that Decker guy, going by Decker, and Snoopy, going by Snoop. And so Decker is the support for Goon Squad Gaming, and Snoop is the bot lane for Cyborg CE Cyborg. And so these guys played like directly against each other this week. And so, but before we hop into the match, starting with Decker, what is one thing that everyone in the league should know about your team?
So, a couple things that they relate, I promise. So, one that we've been playing together, about 6 or 7 group of friends over the past 4 to 5 years, really in some iteration of a team. So we've played together for a very, very long time. So we're not like trying out players and stuff. So our culture is very friendly. Like it's kind of even weird, like hearing each other's like in-game names, because we're so used to calling each other by our first names most of the time. And it creates a really cool dynamic, because like we really feed off each other, and we kind of know what each other are thinking at this point. It's not always a good thing, as you can see by our week 1 results. We sometimes all have collective bad ideas, but we're usually on the same page, and it's a lot of fun to play on this team.
That's cool. Groups of friends make for some of the most fun and really competitive teams out there. And then Snoop, what is one thing that you want everybody to know about your team?
Yeah, so to piggyback on what Decker was saying, we are the complete opposite side of the spectrum. We have been a team for about a month, maybe a little less. So the jungler and I, we're pretty good friends, and we decided to make a team. And took a few weeks. We tried a bunch of players out. We decided on our final roster being the team that we are now. And we were just looking to get some more experience in the competitive realm, so we joined the team building league to kind of get some games under our belts.
That's fantastic, and I think it's also a very valid form of team construction for this type of stuff, because Decker hinted at this, but sometimes to a fault, when you know people, it's like the competitive environment. It's so personal, and sometimes taking the personalness out of it a little bit can help with the competitiveness. But so
Can I build off of Snoop real quick?
Yeah.
He said. So, when building a team with some random people, what were you guys really looking for when forming your team? Was it more like skill level, personality, a mixture of both? What were you guys mainly looking for?
So it's definitely a mix of both. So I fortunately am friends with our coach, who is a Masters player. So he's kind of the one overseeing the whole operation, right? So we had him on calls, and our biggest thing was A, like champ pool, and B, coachability. So like we had to make sure everyone had the same mindset. We had our goals were aligned on where we wanted to go as a team, and things like that. So I feel like that goes much further along the way than just, raw skill.
Yeah. Did you guys have like a lot of potential like prospects for your team in like a pretty lengthy like tryout process, or was it pretty quick and easy for you guys?
I would say overall we did about 2 to 3 weeks of tryouts. We were playing every single night, trying out, as many people as we could. Mm-hmm. But we also didn't drag our feet on, selecting players. So like if a player did really well one night, we immediately, send them a message to be like, oh, we'd love for you to, play again tomorrow night. And then if they, they held the same expectations from night to night, we just locked them in right away. So we kind of took that step, building players that way versus, trying to do mass tryouts and trying to see everybody play with like very limited games.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, go ahead, take it down. Sorry.
No, that's fantastic insight. Thanks, Clarkles and Snoop. So I'm going to pull up some of the post-match results from your match. And so quick update anybody who's living under a rock and doesn't follow match updates every single day. CE Cyborg took the series 2-1 over GSG, where CE Cyborg won games 1 and 3, and GSG won game 2. And so, how do you guys feel about your performances in week 1? Deckard, why don't you start us off?
Yeah, I can start us off there. Yeah, I think there are obviously don't want to lose, right? Losing sucks. It felt a lot better taking at least one game off the set rather than going 2-0 or getting 0-2. But overall, I think we made some pretty characteristic mistakes that we are aware of and that we know about and that we've been really, really trying to fix. And I think we've made the games with Cyborg have really again reminded us hey, we've got to be on our P's and Q's about these problems because we always fall into kind of these traps. I do think we had some good plays. I think we did have a dominant game 2, which we can talk about later. But then we got dominated in game 3, which we can also talk about later. But game 1 was definitely a slog. But I do feel overall, I think we had a good week 1. We haven't been playing competitively together in a league for over a year. So this was our first back official match outside of scrimming and things like that. So, a little bit of, as much as you can be nervous about playing in a level that we are, right? We were a little nervous about it, but I think we had a good time. We dealt with the loss really well. Again, we're all friends outside of this. And losses like that let's get better and move on.
For sure, I think that's the exact right mindset to take. Week 1.
I want to add one more thing. Sorry, we also don't mind losing to good teams, and CE Cyborg is obviously a good team, so that puts us a little peace of mind as well.
Yeah, you know how I feel about CE Cyborg if you watched the podcast right before this, because they're very high on my power rankings, and so I expect them to continue to do well. And I think if the team continues to scale, one of the benefits of having those friends teams is it's really easy to bounce back mentally because you have a stronger connection than just the game. Now, Snoop, how do you feel about your team's performance in week 1?
Yeah, I think we had very high expectations coming into this league, and I think us losing that second game was kind of the wake-up call we needed to be okay, we definitely have some gaps that we need to fill. So it gave us a lot of content to review, and our coach had a giant Google Doc with a ton of notes that we reviewed. So it was, I think it was a wake-up call, but it was the wake-up call that we kind of needed to start seeing where we started having gaps.
I think Snoopy is one of those things where when you're on a good team and you win game 1 and it kind of goes according to plan, and then you relax a little bit, right? And then you remember maybe we're better than this team tonight, but they're not they're in the league. They're they're at least close enough to take our games, right?
Exactly. That I couldn't have put it better myself.
And so, diving into the series a little bit overall, I want you to think about who was your team's MVP in week 1, and who do you think was the opponent's team's MVP in week 1? Who's that person in the comms? You're oh my gosh, we got to get after them. Which one of you guys wants to take that first?
I can take it.
Yeah, you go ahead, Snoop.
No, all right. So I feel as though I don't want to be biased, but I feel as though a lot of our game plan is really developed on who I play personally. So I like to play a lot of hyperscalers. So if I can get that ball rolling like I did in games 1 and 3, we pretty much have guaranteed wins. And seeing as though between the games that we won, I've only died, 3 times and almost got a pentakill. I have to give it to myself. I don't know if that's just being biased or not, and I don't know, Decker, if you agree. But
yeah, I'll go ahead and take that away from you. Yeah, I'm giving it to you also. It was very. I mean, even past that line, you played to your champion so well, and you made it very, very hard to punish. I've thought about this a lot over the past week, but in game 1, for instance, you look at the post game screen, and we've got all the objectives minus the Baron, and Snoop's got 15 kills or some shit like that, that he played his champion exactly how he was supposed to play it. He sat back, he chilled, he didn't feel any pressure, and then when the team fight started happening, but I will say to your team's credit, Snoop, the way they play around you is just It's really good. Like it's like there were so many times like when we would think we would have angles, and then we would get like a flash from Lysandra back to WR. Like she would like W one engaged and R the Vi to stop view, and it's just like we can't get to this guy because we can't touch him. Like,
and that's kind of where I was going with. We kind of play around the identity of the champions that I like to play, so it just makes it easier for me to play.
Yeah, and it's pretty evident in that because like what you smolder in game 1, Jinx in game 3, right? It's very traditional hyperscalers, and like Ashe does have those properties. I don't think that the draft was set up as well to actually play around you in game 2 as it was in games 1 and 3. I don't know if you feel that way, but
yeah, no, I agree with you. Game 2, we've played Ashe and scrims, and we typically don't play bot lanes, so it's more of like a weak side pick, right. like pick comp, you know what I mean? Right. So we're playing for that Shyvana, spike when she hits, whatever level 16, when in the Victor level, like we pick these champions that we want to be playing around, but it just didn't go our way.
Yeah.
So with that being said, Decker, who do you think was y'all's MVP?
It was Noah, Necromancer. I'm going to call him Noah. Sorry, that's what I'm used to. Yeah, he is. I describe him on our team as like he is the absolute rock of our team. And I promise you, take this what you will. He's going to hate me for saying this. You could camp him, take away every camp that he has for the first 10 minutes of the game. He will still find a way to be useful, and he will still be productive in comms. He will still be active on the map. Like he will still be trying to make things happen. And you saw that in game 1 where it was kind of stalling outside of objectives for us, but he kept the objective play happening. And then in game 2, it was an absolute just like a show with him. And then game 3, if you look at the VOD as the volley bear, like we were getting steamrolled that game. So like there's really kind of no moment where we can kind of get a foothold. But the few moments that we did have to kind of look for a foothold were mostly off of Noah, off of our jungler, making something happen, getting the thing started, right? So yeah, it's him for sure. He was a rock in a rough game.
And Snoop, who do you think was their MVP?
I think overall in the series, I'd have to agree that y'all's jungler was just all over me, trying to kill me. In game 2, he did it very successfully, which was very annoying. But but I also have to give your mid laner some credit. I mean,
yes,
they dropped 16 kills game 2. So we could not figure out how to get past the Mel in that game, and I think that's ultimately one of the major reasons why we lost.
It feels like game 1 a lot of game 1 was like you taking a champion that is very difficult to deal with and being difficult to deal with, and a lot of game 2 was Barney like taking a difficult champion to deal difficult to deal with, and then doing that as well. It just speaks to both of you playing the strengths of your champions. And yeah, I agree. I think Barney was definitely a close second in my mind.
Yeah, so that's awesome. You guys, for one, can sit here and like talk back and forth after just being opponents. It's super awesome to hear you guys' insights and thoughts on the games and each other's plays and players and that kind of stuff. But to build on that, it sounds like game 1 was pretty close. Games 2 and 3 were pretty, kind of stops dominant for each winning team, which that's kind of how you want a series to be in a way. Like you don't want to get too owed. It's great.
Yeah, of course.
Even if you lose. 2-1 is still the way to lose.
Dude, we've been coping off that one man all week. It's been great.
I feel you. We also lost 2-1, and it's like, hey, at least we got a game. Like, that's what it is. But even that one game, one of the games being close, and you still lost it, it's like, okay, we stomped on them one game. They stomped on us one game. So we both know we're good. And then you made a fight for one game. So it's still a really good feeling. I call it a good loss. Yeah. But anyway, let's focus on game 1 for a second. You mentioned earlier you guys got all the objectives, Decker, but Cyborg still managed to win. But
what happened?
Based on the objectives, like, is that kind of like an important thing? Obviously, everyone likes to get all the objectives, but something you guys really focus on, like you're on top of it when they spawn, like a big thing for your style.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I mean, I think we kind of evaluate from like game to game. But like if you look at their comp, right? You've got like Snoop on Smolder, you've got an Ornn in the top lane, and then you look on our side, and we don't have that late game capacity. If this game goes past 2 minutes, like it's probably over. It's probably over before that, honestly. If everyone plays perfectly, right? Of course, we don't always do that, right? But for us, it was that game specifically. It's like, hey, if we don't get these early, we're never gonna catch up to them in the late game scaling. So we tried to make plays, and I think that's why we kind of looked a little desperate there around the late 20-minute mark, is because we were like, okay, we're out of time. Like we're done. Like they're going to get stronger. We're not. And we have to make something happen. You started seeing a lot of kind of desperation plays from us, but we just didn't transition that lead we didn't transition that, like the objective leads into towers. That was the problem. We could never get their towers down, and they did a really good job. I don't think that they ever were worried. If I can take a guess, Snoop, of like even at Seoul, I don't think that you guys were probably worried, because it was like, look, they might have Seoul, but they don't have any gold, so we're just going to outscale them to infinity.
Yeah, and like you were saying, I mean, our comp specifically was like a post 25-minute comp. I mean, Boulder, Orn, Sona, Lysandra.
It sounds like from like you guys' style, Snoop. Like you said, you like playing those heavy scalers so early. It probably makes sense for you guys to want to give up those early objectives just to kind of keep your scaling going and stay on pace.
Yeah, we've been playing around with different comps, trying to see what our identity is, and that's definitely one of the ones we've found a lot of success on.
Mm-hmm.
And
well, hey, you want to try out some comp, Snoop? Let's scrim. Let's run it back.
Yeah, absolutely.
But still building on that.
Smolder.
I would say the
Cleaver.
Smolder is a terrifying champion, man.
Yeah, I honestly don't know why we let him be one Smolder. Like we thought about it, and the problem was that like we knew they were going to go like 100%. They're going to go Smolder B1. We'll respond with Vi to try and help deal with the Smolder, and they're going to go Sona on B2 and then +1. Like 100%. We were like, okay, we called this. We talked about it. And it just turned out our plan was bad for dealing with it. So
it is what it is, man. I mean, sometimes if they got it, they got it.
If they got it, they got it. They had it
for
sure.
Yeah, honestly, I'm actually very surprised he let it through, because like the last 3 weeks of scrims that we've been playing, it's been banned out for me. So
I don't think that we recognize, and of course we keep it with Southern Q, but I think we didn't recognize how much more powerful Smolder is as a champion right now, right? So if obviously you give someone a powerful champion that they're good at, then it's going to be a problem. So I think we just thought that Smolder, that we could deal with it, and we lost.
Yeah. Building on that, obviously you guys have been talking about how the games went. So you guys talk about your perspectives already a little bit of how the games were feeling. What do you think was really the turning point for, like, you guys felt during your games? Obviously, it comes to a point where, like, obviously you want to play to win the entire time, but there comes a point where you're kind of like, this game's kind of over. What can we fix for next game? You start thinking about what you want to draft for next game, that kind of stuff. At what point?
It was, for us in game one, it was like it was right post 30 minutes, I believe. I think the game was like 33. How long was that game? Help me, Snoop.
32 and a half minutes.
Yeah, so probably around like the 27-minute mark or something, where we were like still looking for a chance. And then we thought we got a fight off that looked good in my mind, or at least like a pick off onto the Smolder, and then just like his health bar didn't move. Like it didn't move. And then we just got caught. Like Lysandra caught all the engagers, and we just got ran through, and we're like, maybe let's think about game two.
Yeah, I watched this game back, and it was exactly at like 20 minutes. So I had gotten a double kill, and one of them being on Garen, which gave me like a 600 gold shutdown. So like I was already, and at this point after that double kill, I was 7-1. I was already at like 180, 185 stacks, and at that point, I was like, oh, it's just over. I think I was somewhere around like 5k gold up on their Sivers.
I love that feeling.
It was just like there was nothing that they could do.
Yeah, unless I make an enormous error, this game is done.
I don't think there's any greater feeling than you're playing a game. You have a Smolder in your team. You press tab, and you see they're like 6-1, 7-1. And you're like, this game's we're good.
Yeah, and it's pre-20 minutes.
Yeah.
Although
I got Smolder things.
I'll be remiss to say, first of all, Necromancer, I never read that name aloud until now, and I think it's fantastic. I just got onto it, and I was like, I love that. I like the Hail of Blades, but I'm a little bit biased, but I wish I'd seen the crit Hail of Blades Vi. I don't know if you guys have seen that tech before, but it is an actual one-shot machine when it comes to this.
It's about special right there.
It's about, you see the Infinity Edge. I specifically remember watching, I think it was Draft League in Risen a few years ago, and there's a player that was known for it. No, I subbed in on a draft league team. Wow, it felt very uninteractive, very squishy, but also, holy cow! But anyways, props
I'll
to
pass that. I'll pass
Necromancer.
that along to him. Yeah. I will say in game two, I do think, like, as much as I do really do think that Cyborg. I know that feeling of just like winning a game one and then going to plan and then kind of game two relaxing, and you could feel that in the lane. To be fair, but I think that. I remember in game two, kind of the point where I was like, okay, we're running down this game. There was a fight. I think it was around mid lane, and it was first of all, Snoop. What were you Nami into Braum? How did that happen? How was that decision made?
I'm gonna be completely honest here. So our draft went completely out the window because
Yeah.
we were gonna go Jarvan R2, and I don't know why we didn't. And then we saw that you guys picked it in the next round, and it just like completely just went to hell after that. So I don't know.
Yeah, there's a fight mid where like Nami was obviously looking to ult, and I didn't put my wall up. I just kind of walked at her as Braum, and then she just didn't do anything. And I was like, okay, yeah, we're gonna win this game. And so the posture was different, than normal. But yeah, game two was fun for me. I'm sad. I'm sorry it was bad for you, but it was fun for me. There's a couple Nami ults that I missed that were a little silly, but I ate most of them. That was my entire goal.
So then, is there a certain point, like even during like the final game? Obviously, game three, you're playing winning the entire time, but it was like, you know what, this is looking a little rough, boys.
Game thrar, no, game three just like felt bad the whole time. I'm not very good at trash talking. I'm gonna try and do it right now. NAR players need to go to like some sort of jail or some sort of like something. Like
I agree.
He's just a disgusting champion that just should not be allowed in the top lane. But whatever.
I have my choice of words for people who don't play ADC's bot lane. So
yeah, I get that, brother. I get that 100%. But yeah, the game three it felt like that. Just like I don't know if we were just like mentally drained because game one was tough and then game two was kind of re-energizing. But nah, game three was just kind of they just did everything that they wanted to do, and we just didn't have anything to do about it.
Snoop, thoughts on game three?
Yeah, honestly, I think, like I said, game two was the wake-up call that we kind of needed. We rallied back after that game. We spoke for like a little bit, and then we locked in, and I think we played it about as good as we could have.
Yeah, that was just a clean game. The whole game was just clean.
They turned the scripts on, no big deal. Anyway, so what's obviously super tough series stuff where you guys said your coach took a lot of notes for you guys. What are the main takeaways you guys got from this series that you use as the season goes on? We'll start with you, Snoop.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for us is just working on lane posturing during like the mid game. There was a lot of times where, even for myself, like I'm just not playing to our vision that we have, and it ended up, causing some picks to happen here and there. So that's definitely something that we're actively working on, as well as just learning the timers that we have on when to lane swap and when's it best to lane swap and or when's it best to roam, like in terms of our mid laner and things like that. So that's definitely things that we have tons of notes on. We've been working on it, and hopefully it improves.
Yeah. Decker?
Yeah, we definitely have. We've worked a lot of our, I think, draft issues. At least we think we've worked them out. We'll try again next week and see if we did. Which I don't want to go into a lot of detail about, but like in the game, I don't know, man. Like obviously there are places that we need to work on, and I'm sure there are tons and tons of micro mistakes that we're making and things, but really our focus is about just being cohesive and making sure that we are all on the same page, because we figure if we're all on the same page, better chance the plan works out, right? So I feel we did take away some draft lessons and we took away some communication lessons, but outside of that, I think that we feel really good. Like even on a loss, we feel really good about it.
That definitely makes sense. At the end of the day, we all remember, like we're in an amateur league. We're all like, diamond and below, so we're not going to be able to do all the little things perfectly.
We're all old men, man. Like we're all way past our
kidding.
prime on our team. So
My hands hurt now.
I feel that, dude.
Yeah, we're all old men, man. I was getting yelled at by a 2-year-old an hour ago before I sat down here. So
that's crazy.
But
never crazy things in life, man. Never would have thought. But done talking about your guys' games. We've been talking about long enough now. Real quick, we can pull up the standings and take a look at the league as a whole. If you guys are taking a look at, were there any surprises you guys thought while looking at the standings?
I saw that the lowest point team in our league 2-0.
Yes, Project Boom.
Boom!
So that's the biggest surprise, at least for me.
I just like to point out that I was half right on my hot take. I said they were going to win. I thought it was going to be 2-1. They 2-0'd. It's even better.
That's good. Yeah.
But now my team gets to face against a pissed off CT next week. So, yes.
Yeah, mine. I mean, that's mine too. Honestly, I'm still learning a lot about these teams, and it's weird that I've been around these leagues for a long time, just not risen, and it's weird to not know anyone outside of my team. Like I don't recognize any name, which is odd, which feels weird. But so I'm learning about all these people, but yeah, that obviously you see a 26-2-0 on first week. That's good to hear it.
Yeah,
gives me hope for my little 27 team.
And I think my team is playing Project Boom next week, so I'm sure I'll share some notes next week. But that was a big surprise, and props to them. It looks like they're pretty comprehensive, and we talked about it a little bit ago. But that's a fantastic performance. And looking at these standings, what's one team each of you guys are excited to play this season, and why?
So we play 2 30-point teams back to back the next 2 weeks. So we're definitely looking at those as kind of our seeing where we're at in terms of like where we're going to place in this league. Obviously, our goal was to come in and win the league, but I think our next 2 weeks will definitely be the tests for us.
Yeah, I mean, for our perspective, it's just the next week best week, right? Like we're playing against NVNA. Sorry, I'm not saying the whole thing, but we're going to be on stream, so I'm excited about that. I hope people are excited to watch us play. I think we'll be a fun team to follow. I think we'll take some games that will shock you, and that we'll lose some games that we shouldn't. So we should be fun to watch.
I completely agree. Well, Decker, Snoop, thank you guys so much for hopping on for our first edition of All Chat. Getting a behind-the-scenes look at both of your teams and your matchup was so unique and like way more than Clarkles and I could have ever added. So thank you guys for taking some time to being here and chatting with us today.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us.
GG, Snoop.
Yeah, GG's.
And thanks everybody for watching the Bamis podcast this week. We are hoping to release every single week with an episode of All Chat every single week as well. And so we will see you on the Rift on Tuesday, and then on YouTube a few days later, a podcast wherever you listen to stuff.